We are looking at least common multiple, also known as lowest common multiple, right? So we're going to look at this question, and we'll be looking at two methods of doing least common multiple, also known as lowest common multiple. The first method we'll be looking at is the listing method, and the second method we'll be looking at is the ladder method. Let's begin with listing method. So we're going to look at the multiples of 12. Okay, multiples of 12, 12 times 1, 12, times 2, 24, times 3, 36, times 4, 48, times 5, 60, times 6, 72. You can see these are factors of 12 and it continues until infinity. Okay, so I use those three dots to mean it continues. And so we have 30. These are factors of 30. 30 times 1, it gives us 30. 30 times 2, 60. 30 times 3 gives us 90. 30 times 4 gives us 120. 30 times 5, 150. 30 times 6 gives us 180. And it continues as well. So the next is for us to look at the common number, the common multiple. And what number is common here? Of course, we can see that 60 is common if you look at it very well. So common multiple here is 60. That doesn't mean that it's only 60 that is a common multiple. If you continue to build more of multiples of 12 and 30, we're going to see more. For instance, you're going to see 120 if you continue building more. But here, the common multiple we have here is 60. And of course, least common multiple, the lowest common multiple will as well be 60. This is how to go about the listing method. And so let's look at the ladder method. In ladder method, you are going to have this kind of ladder like this, and then you place your numbers this way, 12 and 30. So here we'll be using prime numbers to divide our numbers. To divide the numbers we are concentrating on, which are 12 and 30, right? So the first prime number we have, the least prime number we have is 2. And when you look at 2, 2 is a factor of 12 and 30. What do I mean by factor? It can divide 12 and of course divide 30. I need you to watch my video on factors and multiples of a number, right? So 2. 12 divided by 2 gives you 6. 30 divided by 2 gives you 15. So 6 divided by 2 can also divide. And so since 2 can divide, we're still going to repeat that 12. Because 2 can divide 6, even if it cannot divide 15. This is L.C.M. And so once your prime number can divide any of the numbers, you still continue using it until you cannot divide any one of them before you move on to the next prime number. And so 2 divides 6, it gives us 3. 15 divided by 2 gives us 7.5, or 7 remainder 1. And so since we have remainder in that case, we are going to repeat 15. Right, so we have 3 and 15 left, and so 2 cannot divide either of them. So we move on to the next prime number, which is 3. 3 divided by 3 gives 1. 15 divided by 3 gives 5. So we have 1 and 5 now, and you can see that 3 cannot divide 1 and 5. And so we move on to the next prime number, which is 5. So 1 divided by 5 gives us 1, and 5 divided by 5 of course gives us 1. And since we get to 1 as the last dividend that we have, so we just stop right there. And so for us to have the LCM now, we have to multiply all these divisors, 2, 2, 3, and 5. So we'll multiply them together. That will be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. And if you multiply that, you're going to have 60. So that is all about LCM. Right. So now let's move on to highest common factor, also known as greatest common divisor. Highest common factor, also known as greatest common divisor. We're going to look at listing method as well, and we look at ladder method. Okay, look at this question. Find the H.C.F of 12 and 30. That's the question. Now we've changed it to H.C.F now. All right. In this situation, we are going to look at factors of 12. And when you say factors, we mean two numbers you can multiply together to give you the number in question that you're looking at. So now when you look at 12, what are the numbers you can multiply together to give you 12? So I begin with 1. 1 times 12 gives me 12. So 1 and 12 are factors of 12. I go to 2. 2 times what gives me 12? 2 times 6, of course. So 2 times 6, it gives me 12. And 2 and 6 are also factors of 12. Then I move to 3. 3 times what gives me 12? 3 times 4, of course. And so 3 and 4 are also factors of 12. Now, I move on to 4 now. I have 4 times 3. And since I've already had 3 times 4, I can't use 4 times 3 again because they are the same thing. And so since it has repeated itself like that, that is the final factors that we can have. Once you have it repeated, whether you have it to be 4 times 4 or 3 times 3 or 2 times 2 or 2 times 2, 2 times 3 and 3 times 2. So it has repeated itself. So you stop right there. Right. So let's look at factors of 30 now. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. And of course, we are going to have 6 times 5. 5 times 6 and 6 times 5, they are the same thing. And so you stop right there. The next thing is for us to list out the factors of 12. 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 6, 12, rather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. Those are the factors of 12. So for 30, we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30. Those are the factors of 30. And so the next for us is to find the common factors now. The common factors here, we have 1, we have 2, and of course we have 6. Those are the common factors. Now remember, we are looking at highest common factors, greatest common divisor. So which one is the highest? Which one is the greatest? And that is 6. So the highest common factor here is 6. This is the listing method of finding LCM. So the next is to look at the ladder method. The same question, find the H.C.F of 12 and 30. Here we're going to get our ladder and we place the numbers this way. So we use our prime numbers as well. We begin with 2. 12 times divided by 2 gives 6, 30 divided by 2 gives 13. And now you look at in the LCM, because 2 can go in 6, we're going to use 2 again, but it can't go in 15. But here we are looking at H.C.F. The number must be able to go through in all the number that we are dealing with. It must be able to divide all the numbers we are dealing with. That is, it must be able to divide 6 and as well divide 15. But when you look at 2, you can't do that. So we have to go to the next prime number, which is 3. So because 3 can divide 6 and as well divide 15. 6 divided by 3 gives us 2 and 15 divided by 3 gives us 5. So we move on now and see which number can divide 2 and 3. 2 can divide 2 but cannot divide 3. 3 can divide none of them. And of course 5 will divide itself but cannot divide 2. We have come to the end of it because we don't have common factor to 2 and 5 except 1. And we can't use 1 because 1 is neutral in multiplication. So the LCM HCF now of 12 and 30 is 2 times 3. And of course, 2 times 3 gives 6. So the HCF of 12 and 30 using ladder method is 6, just like we got in while we were doing listing method for this. I hope you've learned one or two things in this lesson. Till I meet you again, bye for now.